Hello, it's the East Coast Agile Lean Coffee. If you're out there, then you have a question, please chime in. I'm going to keep an eye on if for some reason if folks are on the YouTube, I'm going to pull up the YouTube and see if there are any YouTube comments as well. Trying to keep an eye on that because I know sometimes people can't use that interactive thing. Google Plus. I love Google, but I think the Google Plus is a little difficult to use sometimes with that interactive thing. I get complaints from folks that say it's difficult to get navigated into there and using the right thing and where you're supposed to use it. So here I'm going to turn off my voice on the YouTube that's showing right now. So if you're on YouTube, you can throw comments in there too. I'm going to periodically jump over there and see. If you're on the interactive, on the Google Interactive, from the link from either the ScrumFans.com or otherwise, you can go ahead and throw a question up there. Let me know you're on. That'll let me know that you're on. Looks like we're getting some viewers coming in now. Just hey, we're getting started here. Today I'm with my buddy Scrappy here. Scrappy, come over here and say hi. That's Scrappy. Hi, Scrappy. He's a big old chocolate labradoodle. So he might be running around behind me. He might knock over the little board I have back there. He's a big happy puppy. He's a big happy puppy, aren't you? Yeah, you are, aren't you? If you guys are lucky, I may play you the little rap that I made for Scrappy. You can go to Auto Rap. You know, if you got a Google, I think it's on iOS and Android. Just download the Auto Rap app, and it's so much fun. It actually does the whole T-Pain auto tune and everything. It does that. So I made a rap for this big old guy, huh? He's such a cutie pie. Yeah. That's Scrappy, by the way. That's Scrappy. Scrappy, the 2-year-old going on 3-year-old puppy. 100 pounds. Yeah. It's a big puppy. So, as you got questions, go ahead and chime in. I know Eddie, a buddy of mine, he's going to be jumping on. He recently got his Scrum Master certification. So he is looking. So, folks are looking for a new Scrum Master. Someone wants to get into the ranks, you know. We can talk about that. Hit us up here. I'll get you in touch with Eddie. So Eddie, hey, welcome to the call. So for folks that join us in posterity, as this will be recorded, you probably can find it on ScrumFans.com. I'm going to up my bandwidth on here, make it a little bit clearer. There we go, make the camera a little bit better. Lighting is annoying. Here's Scrappy. Say hi, Scrappy. Hi, Scrappy. Yeah. So Eddie has a question, but I know we'll get into the epics question. I want to ask Eddie, other than the size epics, I know you've been going through doing a lot of studying and stuff on Scrum lately. What brought up this question, the sizing epics?
Hey, Sam.
Hey, Eddie.
Can you hear me well?
So I don't know if you heard me, Eddie. I was just chatting with you. I was saying, hey, I know you added a question in here on how do you size epics, and I was just wondering kind of what the background of that was, since you're right here on the microphone here. What prompted that question? Did that come up like in an interview, or how did that come up, and what context? Is it something you're working with right now? Where is the background on that question?
It's all about curiosity. I thought about it. I know try to slice all the epics down to the smallest level possible. how do you
Gotcha,
budget higher level when you still have epics?
Right. So if you've got a budget, you know, when you're trying to either budget or do some road mapping, I might get tackled by Scrappy here every now and then.
Okay.
He thinks it's playtime for him all the time. So you know, as you're dealing with epics, typically as product backlogs are started, you know, they got to start somewhere, and generally you start with epics, right? For folks that don't know, epics are very large, maybe in whole modules, whereas user stories might be just individual functions, individual user goals that are accomplished by each user story. And an epic could be, say, a whole module of some enterprise app or some, you know, even an iPhone app, or really any kind of piece of software. You know, you can have epics. So when you're doing budgeting or even sizing, creating effort for epics, it's going to be high level, because, you know, at that point you don't know a whole lot about epics, and it needs to be broken down, and that takes time. That takes the product owner going through requirement solicitation, working with subject matter experts, working with the business, working with marketing, working with the people that have the knowledge of where these stories were built, and he starts breaking them down into smaller, chunkable sizes, right? The idea is, right, you don't want to have a story, any story that can't be worked on within one sprint. If it's that large, it needs to be broken down, right? So, and then if you're going to be doing budgeting on that, right, there's lots of different ways, but, you know, some people just, you know, might do some comparisons to previous projects or previous stories. If you want to get a little more accurate, you got some dev time, you got some maybe working with your dev lead, your functional manager, the product owner, would be, because this might be ahead of time before they even have development teams built up, right? So they got to kind of do some kind of sizing on that to get an idea to what they call rough order of magnitude. We call them ROMs, right? There's probably lots of different names for these, but it's when you kind of do your initial budgeting, right? You say, okay, I think this is going to be, you know, a lot of times functional managers may work from that point of view of their experience. Hey, we just had a new person jump in. Who do we have joining us? Is that Melissa? Hey, Melissa. I'm Sam, and this is Eddie.
I'm Eddie.
So, Melissa, as you're getting your microphone and video and stuff there worked out, just chime in when you got your microphone going. Right now, we don't hear you, so you might be on mute, or you might be getting your microphone tweaked. So feel free to chime in as you got that going. So we're just answering a quick question on epics, but yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot more that you can. That's like a big topic that can go on and on, but lots of different ways of slicing up epics. But the bottom line is you got to do a lot more work in requirement solicitation, right? And that's the product owner working with subject matter experts and breaking those stories down, right? So they can get, the more you break it down, the more you get a more accurate estimation of that, right? But in the beginning, he's got to do some kind of estimation, right? He's got to, and product owners, unless they have a lot of experience, if you have a product owner that has a lot of experience, he might be able to go from his experience in doing some sizing and budgeting, but typically he'll probably team up with the functional manager or a dev lead, or devs if he's got a dev team already set up, if it's an ongoing Scrum team that they've got going, he'll work with them. The same as they would on, so if this is probably a new project or an existing project, depending on where they are, they'll work with the dev team in general and start doing that effort estimation.
Okay.
So, Melissa, if you're on, just chime in. We don't have any particular topics. I should have selected actually the one topic here so that we can. We actually just got completed with, if you're jumping into the video, we just back up about 5 minutes. We just did epic estimations. So I'm just tracking that. I'm going to do a little housekeeping here. I'm going to go and do add in a page so I can go and add questions in as we cover topics. That way, when people play back the video, it's kind of like a navigation to topics that we've discussed. And kind of bookmark directly to those points in the video. It's really kind of a cool feature that Google Hangouts has with the question and answer module. As we're doing that, so Eddie, since I've got you on here, I know a little bit about what you've been. I know what kind of things have you been running into? Questions, things that you've been running into. What how can we help you on the things that you're going through with Agile and Scrum?
Yeah, there's another concept of Sprint Zero. Everybody seems to opinion about it.
Sprint Zero?
Yeah.
Have you been covering, have you gotten that recently? I know we covered that in a previous episode. Have you gotten more questions on that?
In regards to the architecture, how do you build just enough and try to deliver at the same time? Or you want to do the first sprint?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're really breaking up. So breaking up for you as well. Okay. Let me. Maybe it's because I'm doing a little bit of searching right now. Hang on. Let me get to the point that. Hang on here. Maybe I can stop this video from playing. There we go. I'm creating a, okay, so Sprint Zero. Okay, so adding a question in. So, yeah, just about Sprint Zero in Scrum. So, let's try this again. So, in what situation have you been running into this question, Eddie? Did this happen just recently, or you got this on an interview? How did this come up?
It's through the interviews. They want to know how do you feel about it? As a way for you to prepare your architecture, as though instead of doing just enough and then trying to start building the increment.
Yeah, so I mean that's more of a. I think that's more of a preference depending on the dev team. Typically, you try not to have a Sprint Zero. You typically try and you want to actually produce, something usable, and you could have technical components that you're doing within the sprints that might not meet a story per se, but might be preparation and plumbing for future. But there might be situations where people come up with a Sprint Zero, but it's really kind of dependent on the project. But you'll generally hear, folks that are really trying to follow Scrum. They're trying to say, don't have a Sprint Zero, because the whole idea of Scrum is for the future, because they're going to change anyway. So you might be causing yourself rework, right? So in that case, build what you need just in time, right? You're following the whole idea of I'm building what I need in time. If it's plumbing that I need, I build in the plumbing and the architecture that I need to take care of the stories that I'm doing within the sprint. Now, along with that, if there's some plumbing that needs to go that it's coming up for the very next sprint or such, you might work on that. But in general, You want to try and do what you need in time according to the sprint. Because if you start trying to say, okay, we're gonna do a sprint of just sprints. I'm just figuring out architecture and getting all our plumbing figured out all ahead of time. Well, you can do some of that design work within sprints, as you go, but you probably it's not showing a return on investment to the user or to the business. They want to actually try and produce actual production-ready components for them, right? So they're starting to get feedback. They're obviously not, maybe in the beginning they're not able to run production, but they are able to put it in production if they want, and they actually are getting value from those components that you're putting in, right?
Correct.
Whereas the plumbing, they don't see that, and especially if you're going through a transformation and taking a group from waterfall to Agile, that's going to be harder to sell that transformation when they're seeing, well, this is the same old waterfall. You guys are doing stuff, and we don't see it until, months down the road. You're talking about 1 week, 2 week sprints, but you're doing these 1 week, 2 week sprints, so you're not giving us anything, right? You're calling them sprint zero, right?
Correct.
So, it's a preference, really. Ultimately, the team decides, right? Because ultimately, it's up to the team, and us as Scrum Masters and coaches, we try to give them ideas and tell them why maybe that's not a good idea. And ultimately, you let them learn from their mistakes, because there's no, hey, you guys can't do that because you can't do that, right? The idea is, all right, let me kind of give you guys a reason why you probably don't want to do that. You probably don't want to do rework. You probably don't want to do so much extra architecture and such, so that you're going to end up later realizing you didn't need to do that after certain research on future sprints, and and basically you did work that you didn't need to do, right? But you've explained yourself, and they understand. You're comfortable. They understand that, and they understand. Okay, maybe we're losing ROI in the eyes of the business. But if they understand that, and they can, and you back them up, and you've coached them along, let them learn from mistakes. That's part of Agile as well. So, give us some. No, it's not the answer, right? This is just the opinion of the answer, right? Now, nothing is the answer, in Agile, right? But
okay,
just one person's opinion, but definitely read up more thoughts and use cases. Not use cases, but look for case studies, right? Do searches on case studies in Sprint Zero, and that'll give you some ideas of in what cases people thought it was legitimate to do a Sprint Zero. And they'll probably even say, as a Scrum coach, I realize we shouldn't have done that, but I wanted my team to learn from what they did, and later, I didn't say, hey, I told you so. I just let them learn, and they got that knowledge and wisdom from experience now, right? Or they came back and told me, oh, you know what, we really got, we kind of gambled and it worked out in our favor, right? Worst nightmare, right? When you do well the first time you gamble, because then you think, I'm untouchable. I can continue doing this, right? So, any more thoughts on Sprint Zero?
I think you hit all the points that I was thinking. So,
okay.
Talk about
cool.
a little bit about. Huh?
Did they give you back any kind of feedback on that? Was there any thought process that they explained what their point of view of Sprint Zero was? Did they reveal any of that?
In order to know what was thinking. And,
cool.
Yeah. And talk about a little bit about distributed teams and how do they go about doing their planning and synchronizations and.
Okay, and just so I know again, and let me get an idea of what brings up this question, like what situation, what scenario, just so I can get an idea. Maybe because I could talk about distributed teams and stuff, but I just want to know if there's a particular situation, particular question or scenario or whatnot that that you found yourself in this situation, or even an interview question or whatnot?
Yeah, in the course of my own preparation, I kind of questions, especially with the way teams are all over the world.
Uh-huh. And
go ahead.
What's your current view about right now about distributed teams?
I think it's a good idea. It is something that you cannot avoid, because it might be so because of skills located at the same area or co-located.
And this whole global economy now, right? We're like, hey, everything, the world is so small now. We can touch any part of the world from our desktop, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think you're probably on to the future of software development. I mean, I think you're going to see more and more and more virtual distributed teams. And the more and more you hear about Scrum, everybody always says the idea was to have it co-located where your team is in one physical location. And that's ideal and that's wonderful, but I think we're running into the reality more and more nowadays. Teams just aren't built like that. You can't find the talent locally, You want to find good talent and you want to find it quick enough to get. You got to look outside of your local area. And sometimes people are looking outside their time zone. I think that adds way more complexity when you look outside of your time zone, right? When I say time zone, I'd say probably more than like a 3 to 4 hour jump in time zone, right? Because East Coast and West Coast, we can kind of make that happen. We're like a 3 hour difference. We kind of make those adjustments and find a core set of hours that say, okay, everybody, let's have a core set of 3 to 4 hours a day that we can get together on Skype, get together for virtual meetings, get together for a virtual war room, with technology that we can to as we can, right? Because the biggest part of, I think, Scrum is communication, and distributed teams throw a wrench in that for people that aren't familiar with how to manage or deal with or organize or run virtual teams, right? So yeah, I think you're seeing more and more exactly what we're doing here, right? We're on Google Hangout. Google Hangout, it's a great tool. It's free. I mean, you actually see small businesses, startups, and stuff. They're doing some of their business with Google Hangouts. Now, maybe not. We're using Google Hangout. There's two types of Google Hangout. There's Google Hangout where we can have like private Google Hangouts video conferencing, and then what we're using right now is Google Hangouts on air, where we're broadcasting to the world, basically, right? Anybody in the world can join us and watch us live right now, and even jump in with us live. So that's kind of cool. I'm going to jump real quick. Okay, and add this because we're talking about this, and I want to make sure it's in the. We got it queued up. So discussion on distributed teams. Boom. Remind me to play my Scrappy rap song later. It's boom, boom, boom.
Okay.
Scrappy. I made it with this cool app. Okay, where is this? Come on, where are the questions? Questions. Okay, there it is. So, discussion on distributed teams. All right, for those of you that just jumped to this navigation part of distributed teams, again, go back about 5 minutes. We started it there. We'll talk about it a little bit more right now. I just want to try and put this little placeholder in there. So if you're watching this with the placeholders, we've had about 5 minutes of discussion on distributed teams already. But I'll sum it up real quick in a nutshell. Distributed teams is probably the way of the future, right? You're seeing more and more of it now. Dealing with distributed teams for at least the last 10 years, in India, Philippines, Pakistan, China, and now my preference is really using across the United States where we kind of have that, East Coast to West Coast. To me, that's a comfortable time zone shift. But you gotta use other time zones. Big companies are using. They're actually building whole centers in Philippines and Latin America. Latin America is a really good case because they're in our time zone. They're like in the central time zone, right? So they actually fit within our time zone, and they're offshore. So you have that costing and budgeting resource, right? Where you can get where the resources are probably not as expensive as in the States. So you'll see people going probably more and more towards Latin America because of the time zone, and the English is exceptionally well in Latin America as well. Business English, right? English is the business language of choice there. So, but yeah, it's a problem. I mean, it's something that everybody's is dealing with more and more now. You're probably noticing more and more as you go looking in job requirements for those that are contractors and consultants. You're probably seeing more and more requirements where they're saying, if you're a developer and you're looking for developing gigs, you're seeing more and more developers, especially. If you're a developer in Agile, you're finding a big shift in companies looking for and allowing you to work from home as a virtual developer. You're seeing that more and more because they realize they can, again, it's about, it almost doesn't matter the cost as much as the quality, right? Because quality is the same thing. Gives you, your costs are going to run down if you get the exact talent that you need to fill that spot right away. Market, but you kind of look beyond, right? The world is at your fingertips. Whereas locally, you may only have so many types of certain front-end developers or back-end developers or specialized developers that you're looking for, right? Around the world, right? So distributed teams are.
Yeah, while you're still at that point, how do you maintain the same level of quality teams? At the end of the day, you wanna do integration.
Yeah. You gotta do the same thing you would, locally. The developers, they set up certain quality guidelines. The name evades me. Someone will see this and they'll go, it's like a standard sheet, right? It's a coding standards, right? Each developer.
ISOs.
What? Say it again.
ISOs or ISO or something. International standard.
No. It's a coding standard for each development team. So generally, the dev manager will set up these coding standards, right? So they'll say, everybody, we need to comment our code like this. We need to make sure that we call out our variables like this. We put environmental variables in this location. We use these libraries. We do, they're setting up standards. One of the techniques is doing what we call extreme programming, where someone is over my shoulder while I'm programming. Well, part of the virtual world now being distributed, that makes it even easier because you're over my shoulder right now via the computer, and you didn't have to physically come here and look at me while you're watching my computer screen and watching me code. You're inspecting while I'm coding, right?
Correct.
and you're inspecting based off of your knowledge of coding, right? There's certain things you want to make sure I'm following the coding standard. So you're inspecting real time, and then we might switch up. Now I watch you and I inspect you while you're coding, right? And so they set up coding standards. And you do a lot of that helps to set up that knowledge transfer, making sure that quality is up to your quality, right? Shadowing, there's another, you call it shadowing, right?
Yes.
Extreme programming, might specifically mean inspecting while one's programming, right? So that rather than having separate inspections going on all the time, you're having a constant inspection of code happening all the time in real time. Shadowing is similar, where I have someone over my shoulder or virtually over my shoulder watching my screen. I might be using that to get them up to speed really quickly, right? If I'm bringing on new talent and they don't know our code, they don't know our modules as well as I do, and I bring them up to speed on that. They watch over my shoulder. You could be transferring knowledge that way. You can do cross-functional training, where you may be a back-end developer, you have a little bit of front-end knowledge. I'm a great front-end developer, and you watch over my shoulder and you learn more about the front end. So now you start taking on more and more tasks from the sprint backlog that are front end, in addition to your back end load, because maybe you completed all your back end load and you want to help in the front end. Well, as over time, everybody kind of is able to take any kind of task, right? Of course, you may be a back end specialist and you get the real nitty gritty back end stuff, right? But some of it I may be able to help you with because I've over the shouldered with you and I've learned some of your skills to do some of the easier stuff, right? And I'm helping you, I'm helping you, you help me. We all help each other on the team, right? Again, that helps translate and knowledge transfer that quality, right? And give you that quality feedback that I'm giving you real-time inspection as you're a new distributed team member, and you're doing the same for me, and you're getting up to speed and onboarded really quickly that way. But that's one technique, of course, making the standards and making sure people are adhering to it, right? Of course, going through, just the interview process, right? You want to make sure you're getting people that are gelling with and understanding. Hopefully, they've been through a distributed team before. If not, you feel they're really comfortable doing it. They don't give off the impression that, oh no, I'm just going to be doing my thing. You just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. Well, no, this is a very collaborative environment that we are going to be building here, right? In a distributed way. Again, my experiences I've been going.
Yeah.
Enjoying. But yeah. So anything more on distributed things that you've run into, questions that you've run into, distributed or geographical? Have you had any interview questions along those lines lately?
People are just talking or asking about other methodologies of scaling Scrum, or like SAFe or less.
Yeah. Scaling Scrum, I know we talked about this at length again on a previous episode, but the whole methodology is created for that. There's SAFe, there's less, there's Nexus. There's whole methodologies created for dealing with scaled Scrum. I'm going to close out this topic of distributed teams.
Okay.
So, do you have any specific questions on scaled Scrum? Or I'd really like to get. These are all cool that we're getting topics that you're hearing, but I'd really like to get what's going to help you, because I don't think scaled Scrum is going to help you in. I doubt you're going to get scaled Scrum types of introductory Scrum Master gigs, right?
Okay.
So I'd like to know what kind of things are going to help you. Any kind of thing that's come up now that you've run into, like, hey, this is cool, or you've actually run into as you're talking to some people. Hey, I've heard they were doing this, and I want to get a handle on better understanding of what they were doing. You know, or
okay.
a lot of times as you go through interviews, they're telling you about this is how our team is made up, and this is how we work, and this is what we do, and this is how we implement Scrum. You'll hear that a lot from people. This is how we implement Scrum, right? Or this is how we do Agile, right? They've done some twist on it, right? So, you know, I don't know if you've run into that, but that would be, I'd be curious to hear the kinds of any twists that you've heard, or, you know, or just, you know, things that you've heard that you want to get a better handle on that you think is going to help you out there as you're a budding new Scrum Master. We want to get you, you know, clip your nails. Scrappy's got some claws here. Yeah, good boy, Scrappy. Good boy. Look at him. He's a good boy.
The question of sprint retrospectives.
Ah,
yeah.
Yes. Now what?
There's,
Now what kind of retrospectives? It's a really good topic.
people are asking about how many, like, can you use while doing a retrospective? We all know the classic ones where you ask, what have you done? You faced, what can you improve? So that's the classic way. The other formats use so that the team doesn't get bored.
Yeah. Did they discuss any formats? Or did they talk about, hey, this is what we do, or here's how we get over the hump or whatever?
When the team is a little bit more comfortable, facing some challenges, or when there's some hostility within the team, so there's all those kind of directives to deal with that.
Yeah. Okay. Retrospective. It's a great topic because, as what you're going to find out as you get out there and start, getting Scrum Master gigs under your belt, you're going to find that probably one of the most common things you're going to run into are teams that say, you're going to say, hey, why not? I don't see a Scrum retrospective schedule. Like, oh yeah, we stopped doing those. We realize that we don't get any benefit from them. Mm-hmm. You'll hear that a lot on teams. It's between that and daily stand-ups. They really kind of misuse those two things. Daily stand-ups should be that's the lifeblood, the engine of Scrum, right? That's the engine of the sprint. And retrospectives should really be the engine of process improvement, right?
Correct.
And that's its goal. Its goal is to find what processes are we doing correctly, and what maybe aren't we doing correctly, or what maybe could be optimized, or what could we, what are some things that we can improve on, right? So I think the biggest problem that you see with the retrospectives is people they go through a meeting, one or two meetings, and they do as much as they can, right? And they discuss and they talk about all these things, and they got big lists of all the problems that they have, and hey, let's work on this one, and they just bite off so much of it and say, we'll work on that in the next sprint. But they don't realize that's a lot to work on, right? You got a lot of things you guys discussed, right? And you're also going to be working on the sprint. Just again and again, a couple of retrospectives, and they realize they never got nothing. When they work on the next retrospective, they never got the stuff done from the previous retrospective. They've got more stuff. They never addressed the previous stuff, and they keep going until they realize we're not getting anything done, right? They're chomping away at things, right?
Right.
And one really good technique, I think I've shared this with you before, and I'll share this with the other folks, because I think it's really good if you're out there and you run into a situation and you've probably dealt with it in some ways, but one really good way that I found that really helps put retrospectives in perspective is to just tell them, hey guys, it doesn't have to be such a big deal. Let's determine from this meeting, let's determine one thing, the one major thing that you have a problem with, or that you can make an improvement on. That one thing for the next sprint, and somebody's got to be accountable. Somebody's going to be the champion for whatever that is, right? And you go after different ways of doing it. Like, you can use Post-it notes, up on the board. Then you can use pen. Everybody has pens, and they can dot vote. Have you heard of dot voting? Have you heard of dot voting?
Yes.
Take a pen. Some people take stickers, and everybody gets 3 votes. Everybody gets 3 votes, or 2 votes, or 4 votes, or whatever the number. Maybe everybody only gets 1 vote.
Okay.
But suppose everybody gets 3 votes, right? And everybody had ideas for improvements. They put them in Post-it notes. They put them all over the whiteboard or the wall or whatever, and they wrote it on the whiteboard. And everybody goes up there and they have their 3 votes, their 3 dots, and they can distribute those votes among anything that they want. And so everybody does that, and then you prioritize based on those dots, right? So that gives people, it gets people up and walking around and moving and discussing, hey, if that's your thing, evangelize and discuss and tell people why you should vote on my thing. Because I want to champion this thing. I think this should be done. And, it's like you're a politician, right? You kind of get people, hey, I want to evangelize. I want to get this thing done. Because there's only going to be one winner, right? Only one thing is going to get done for the next sprint. So it kind of makes for make turns of retrospective kind of competitive, I think. And making people that because everybody has a problem, or some people are more vocal about the problems that they have, and they want to lobby for those. So this gives them a chance. Hey, before you put your votes, I want to tell you why we should get this done. We need to make sure that from now on, we have a standard sheet. And I forget the name is escaping. There's a name. There's a specific name for it, and it's just dropping from my mind right now. I don't know why it's been dropping, but so yeah, they're like, yeah, we want to do that, or whatever they're lobbying for, whatever process change they want to make, they're going to lobby for that, or whatever improvement, or they might say, I want to, there's this great new unit testing app, a license for an app we need to get. I think we should get that and research it and implement it so that we're all on board with how to do that in the next sprint. We're all doing unit tests with this new tool, and they've got to sell people on that, right? Because that's a big endeavor, and who's going to do it? Well, hopefully, that's one way of doing it. I think the one that's kind of a little magical thing. I think however you do it, if retrospectives are stagnant, just let them focus on one thing. If they get good at accomplishing one thing every sprint, that if they're doing week-long sprints, it's 52 things they accomplish every 6 things if they're doing 2-week sprints, right?
Correct.
That's a lot accomplished when you ask them, well, what did you guys accomplish in your last, how many sprints have you been? You've been doing 20 sprints so far? How many things from your retrospective have you accomplished? And they're probably not even be able to show you a list of the things that they accomplished, because that issue. I mean, the teams that are having trouble with it. But if you got somebody in there that's passionate about letting them understand, and that's you, right, as the coach, letting them understand why retrospectives are so important, then they start to realize they're not just there, just, hey, yeah, here, let me tell you what this and tell you what that. And in corporate America, you'll find you do what we call voice. Everybody gets a poll and they get to say what they like and what they don't like about things. It's pretty anonymous. And then as an organization, vote on what things you'll work on, and inevitably, employees always feel nothing was nothing that they had on the top of their list was accomplished, right? It was still whatever management wanted to accomplish. They were doing it in the guise of, they didn't really listen to you. Is the feeling. So,
Okay.
What more can we say on retrospectives? What perspective? What more? Now, what kind of perspective does that give you now in retrospective? What holes does that leave in the brain about retrospectives?
I think you covered all the bases, and the most important thing, like you said, is just choosing one main thing, one major thing to focus on. That the team focused.
And that's not like that's not like anything written anywhere that's how it has to go. That's just a technique. It's a technique that I've found works well most especially when you find out teams have been accomplishing nothing during their retrospectives and they're feeling really jaded and they feel like it's a waste of time, right? So they start realizing, we're getting something accomplished every retrospective. And they start going for more than one thing. They start going for 2 and 3, right? And they actually get these things accomplished, right? So, cool. I want to show you and everybody else a really cool site I saw recently. It's for news and what's happening on in the Agile world.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in here so that we have it up. Let me get this up so it goes correctly in the topics. So it's a cool website that has they keep it really up to date as far as all the latest news, in the Agile world, right? Mm-hmm. And come on, pop up. Okay, there we go. I want to put it in there now. Okay, now I can say it. Okay, so it's called AgileScout.com. And they've got editors and stuff that curate all of the in there. And I'm going to share my screen here so you get to see what this is. I got the phone back on here. We got to let them know that we are incommunicado. All right, so let's let me share the screen here. Da, 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 da. So tell me if you can see this. You see this, AgileScout.com? All right, so AgileScout.com, it's really cool. It's Agile Software Development News, right? They've got a whole, a whole staff that goes around getting, the latest, latest news and things that are hot in Agile, right? Here's just a recent article from May 16th. Agile coaches must understand cultures. I'm going to run through these topics, because I think they're all important topics. I mean, and I'll just touch briefly on it, and then give me your perspective on it if you have a perspective on this as well. I think you're going to run into this. Agile coaches must understand culture. I think this is important. As we're out there, part of what we have to do is we have to evangelize Agile. A lot of times we're working on teams that are within a transformation or at some point of a transformation from waterfall to Agile, and we need to understand not just that team, but kind of get a feel of the culture. Talk to folks within, not only inside your team but within the organization, right? And get a feel of what that culture is. And what the culture is and what their feeling of Agile is, and that'll help you maybe see some more insight into any difficulties you're seeing as a coach, right? And when I say coach, I'm saying Scrum Master, because Scrum Master, that I really feel that you're a coach, especially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you'll see that as you're going and looking at different organizations. Ask them some questions about what's the culture here? What is the culture, and where does Agile fit in? Where do you got how mature are you guys as an organization with Agile, right? That's a good interview question to let them know about, right? This would probably be good for you as any Scrum Master that's kind of getting started. There's an article they put out on May 6th, Scrum Master Value, right?
Okay.
You hear people that are coming from project management world, and sometimes you just hear developers, and you hear people like, what's the mean? I don't think we need a Scrum Master. I think we can just do it ourselves without a Scrum Master, right? So I would go through this and understand, and it's got lots of links to different things, some interview questions here, career paths for Scrum Masters, FAQs for product owners, and then he's broken down, some actual dollar values of Scrum Masters, right? And I understand this is a good thing to, for folks that are interviewing, folks that are out there, understand and be able to answer this, because you're going to run into, on interviews, you're going to run into development managers or even developers that are talking to you, especially if you're in an organization, it's an organization that's just new to Scrum. They're going to tell you something like, you know what, I really don't understand the point of a Scrum Master. We get our work done pretty much. We don't think the Scrum Master really does much, And that's a great opening for you to like explain your value and maybe don't do it in an attacking way, but let them realize maybe their current Scrum Masters aren't really giving them much value, right? They're just kind of been there for the ride. If this guy doesn't see much value in the Scrum Master, what are the Scrum Masters doing, right? So, but I would say that I would let them understand that through the value that you explain to them. Here's the value that I, as a Scrum Master, I think I'm going to bring to you guys. I don't know what part of this you're doing now or not, but this is what I intend to bring to you guys, right? Your product is complex, fun, right? And here they're doing a quick comparison. They're saying, this is May 4th, and I think this is beautiful, right? Who are some of the most successful companies out there? Apple. Look how simple their interface is. Look how simple they are, right? Apple, Google. Again, Google, very simple. But when we're in the enterprise world, we're asked to make stuff like this. This is the company's app, right? They want everything in one. I want to do this, and I want to do that. I want all this, right? It's crazy. It's crazy. But we need to let, and maybe let them realize, this, just because it has all this functionality doesn't give it value. What's more valuable, this or this? I mean, the ease of use, it's almost intuitive. This probably needs hours of training every time somebody looks at this, right? But if they did it in such a way where they're like, okay, we just want to get, and as you're tackling user stories, you're attacking user stories that are like this, right? User stories are like that.
Yeah.
This is like, how many user stories are in this one interface right here, right? It's amazing.
Wow.
And that's probably really, as much as it's confusing for, developers developing and the product owner creating it, just think of the user using it, right? So, so that's really interesting. I think as they start to get, as they take an agile approach, which is what Apple and Google, very much do, right? That whole concept of Google, I think, has been great at it, producing beta after beta after beta, and they're getting your feedback and they're making it better, right? Sometimes they scrap stuff. So let me see. Anything coming in? Any questions coming in on YouTube? No. Okay, back to Agile Scout. Okay, and any other questions coming in on here? No, okay. Back to Agile Scout. So I think Agile Scout is just, I just like the site. I check out the site and I just think it brings up tons of information. I think this is going to be good for you to go through, and anybody that's anybody that basically up their Scrum Master game. I think this is a great thing to go through because you're seeing, you're seeing things that are happening, right? Yeah, here's a nice thing, right? You don't hire for skills, you hire for attitude, right? You can always teach tech skills, right? Remember I talked about that over the shoulder, that over the shoulder experience, right? That over the shoulder experience, you can learn stuff. I mean, and I've done this with developers. When I come onto a new project, they're like, how am I getting up to speed so quick on things? I tell them, I say, hey, I'm going to come and sit with you. Tell me when you're working on that next story. I want to come and I just want to observe over your shoulder, or when you do it, just ping me and let's do a Skype session where I'll just be watching while you're doing that. But you make it sure that they're comfortable with it, and just say, I just want to do it as just so I get more comfortable with what you're doing and get a better understanding. I want to understand a little bit of that just to see it from your perspective, and they love it. You're not being critical of anything they're doing. You're just learning, right? It's a great way to get up to speed technically. If you're not a technical person, great way to get up to speed technically. I don't think that's not what this article is about, but I think that's what I think this brings up. You don't have to, you not very techy, you can learn that tech stuff, right? Because a lot of people, they're getting, they're in software, they've been a project manager, maybe they're not considered a technical project manager, and they try and move towards Scrum, and they're being told, well, we want previous developers. Well, you can let them know, like, hey, I know software development lifecycle. I've been through it for my life. I didn't have to code to do it. Now, some of us have been coders in the past, and it helps, but it's not necessary. If you just learn some skills, you don't have to learn how to code to be technical, right? You just have to understand. You just need to understand what they're going through. .NET versus Java. Read this. It'll get you more technical, right? Understand, .NET versus Java, right? .NET, Microsoft, Java, the open source world, right? Agile can be difficult to adopt. Of course, right? We talk about it all the time. It's easy to understand, but it can take a lifetime to master, and it takes some finesse to go through that transformation with the company and work with them. And I think the goal is to let them realize some of the best things I see in transformation is how happy it makes people when they go through a traditional life cycle to Agile, right? They realize that they're doing sustainable paces. They get to learn, right? They get to learn new skills. Like, someone that's been stuck, with the front end, and they've never realized that they had any opportunity to work on back end skills. It's encouraged in a Scrum team, yes, right?
Correct.
So
you're right.
What else we got? We got 1 minute. So here, just great, mentally strong infographic. And this page, look, I'm not even halfway through the articles on this first page. So, basic human need, right? Become a coding pro. Here's all the stuff for coding, right? We talked about this. Free coding. Yeah. Look at this. All these places you can learn coding for free, right? Look at that. Coding homepages. Okay. Richard Branson on training and company culture. Hey, this guy's a billionaire. I want to go and hear what his thought is on training culture, right? How do you make $1 billion culture, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where they talk about that, understand that. Trust and collaboration over cooperation. Now, without trust, we don't truly collaborate. We merely coordinate, or the best cooperate, right? That's part of that culture, right? If the corporate organization does not have a trusting culture, they don't trust their employees to make mistakes, they make them feel like you make a mistake, you're out of here. Then they're not giving them room to excel and make big chances to do like great, incredible things, right? So that's part of our goal is moving them towards a trusting culture, right? Empirical, Scrum empiricism. It's based on trust and trial and error, right? Allow them to make mistakes. They learn from the mistakes, right? It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a learning thing, right? If they keep doing the status quo, because you don't trust them, they're not going to learn. You're going to be stuck behind the competition, who's whooping your butt, right?
Yep.
So, all right, we're in overtime. This is overtime, folks. Overtime. But go check out AgileScout.com. I think you're gonna love it. It's a really cool site. It's been my favorite news site recently, and I wanted to share it with you guys. And I think you'll find it as a great resource, time and time again. Especially if you're getting started, great way for you to. There's every article I think is a great source of motivation. Yeah. So tons of learning. You can spend weeks on here. So you have free time, pop it up on your phone, do some education. I like it. So I'll be on there. Anytime you want to discuss any articles, shoot me a mail, Sam at ScrumFans.com, and I will discuss it with my best buddy Eddie.
Always.
All right, Eddie. Anything you want to close with? Any thoughts, Agile thoughts, lessons learned for since last we've talked?
Nothing more. We just thank you for leading us and letting us meet on this meetup group.
Cool. And hey, for anybody that's listening to this, I know it sounds like I'm talking a lot, but I want to get you guys out. We have room for up to 10 of us out here talking at once. Right now, it's just me and Eddie. We got room for more people, so join us and come out here and be part of this discussion with us all the time. And if you can't make it on the discussion, you comment on the, live on the YouTube. You can comment live on the Google Plus and the Google Plus. You got to have a Gmail account. It's a little bit of setup, but if you fall back, just go and hit the YouTube, and I'll try and be monitoring the YouTube for comments there as well, and kind of talk back to you here as we go through them. So I really hope it's been helpful for folks. And if you have any questions at all, anything, Scrum-wise that I can, offer some advice, just hit me up, Sam at ScrumFans.com. And, they will add it as a topic to discuss in the next one. So we'll have a West Coast one of these coming out in, I think, before the month ends, so probably next week. And I got a new way of doing this. I think it's going to be even easier next time, make it easier for people to comment, so you're going to like it. I've asked Eddie to help me out in getting it tested, so we're going to be doing Agile to test this thing, Eddie?
Yeah.
All right. So
more people. We need more.
Yes, we need more. We need more folks. We need more perspectives on retrospectives.
I know they're out there.
Yes. We know you're there. Come and join us.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Lots of fun. Thanks so much, Eddie, for coming in. All the great questions. And chat with everybody. Scrappy, come here. Say goodbye.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Say goodbye, Scrappy.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye, Scrappy. Say goodbye, buddy. Yeah. All right. And all right, so now